right. I think we are live.
Yeah.
Yes, we're live. All right, guys. So we're gonna give it like 5 minutes for everybody to kind of like show up, get their stuff together. Hey. Hi. Hey, Masuka.
So funny.
So yeah, like we said, we're gonna give everybody like maybe 5 minutes to kind of log on and get it going. But how about American Airlines open up all those flight offerings to Cuba for like less than $300? Like, that's what's up. I don't necessarily know when they start, but that's exciting. That I think they're from like New York, Philly, from all over. Oh, September, nice.
Los Angeles.
So that's a good time because it's like invariably hot right now in the Caribbean. So I think going in the fall would be dope. It's still gonna be hot either way, but that's awesome. I'm super excited. And I honestly don't think that there's gonna be too much of a change between now and then. I really don't think a lot of the changes are gonna happen for like another couple of years. So yeah, it is. What time is it? Use your phone for the time.
Yeah, it's 7:32.
All right, we're gonna have maybe 2 more minutes before we dive into it, and I guess we can kind of recap what we already talked about before. So this is our 3rd session on Cuba. The first one was we cover the mechanics of getting there, like how you could fly there, like what you would what categories you would choose in terms of traveling there. And so we also cover where to stay, we stay in an Airbnb. It depends on, what you prefer. I definitely recommend Airbnb. Airbnb was awesome. And you would just, log on Airbnb like any other city. What else did we cover?
We covered transportation. We covered money exchange. We covered a lot of different topics. And if you want to potentially figure out what we've already covered so that you can be kept up or kept abreast of what's going on in Cuba, our stuff might be outdated.
Right, and that's
already, and it's only
a
month later.
Right, they change by the day, so like we said in the last couple of ones, don't kill us if we say something and tomorrow's oh, that's not right no more. So but anyway, I do have the first Periscope video is on my site. The second one isn't because the sound didn't download, so you can't hear it. But we'll be sharing what we're gonna do at the end as far as bringing a whole comprehensive guide together.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna go ahead and start.
Mm-hmm.
So what to do in Cuba? I just want to say that I probably had the most fun in terms of just being out, going out, hanging out, meeting people, dancing, singing, eating, probably in Cuba. Hands down, Cuba was the most fun for me, for sure. So we're gonna kind of break it up from what you do during the daytime to what you do at nighttime,
what you doing during the chill time,
if you don't really want to turn up, where to go, all of that kind of good stuff. So you want to start off?
Right. So basically daytime, I think we already suggested to you that you kind of stay somewhere where breakfast is included. That way you're kind of not scrambling around looking for things to eat in the morning.
Right.
And after that, our biggest suggestion, because as Lauren has said before, Cuba doesn't come with manufactured fun.
Right.
There's no Disney World, there's no Disneyland there.
Right.
So basically you can get into whatever you want to get into. So we absolutely took a solid 2 days of just wandering and getting lost in Havana.
Right, yeah. So like she said, most Airbnb places provide breakfast. You don't really want to worry about breakfast because you don't want to have to leave and come back and prep for the day. So try to find a place that has breakfast. So like you said, the first 2 days, we just roamed around, was seeing what was going on in our neighborhood, and we stayed in Havana, but not like in the center. Like
not
we stayed
in the Capitalia.
Not in the Capitalia. Not in downtown. So we were like in a neighborhood, which was, for me, I prefer to be in a neighborhood because I like to just, you know, be with the people, see what's really cracking. So yeah, like the first couple of days we just kind of wandered around.
We stayed in an area called Playa, and it's in El Centro. But if anybody should head out to El Centro, it was kind of funny because some people told us that it was the more ritzy place to stay. I don't really know what that means,
about that.
because we didn't really see that. Anyways, however, don't sleep on Centro. There is so much going on in El Centro. Most every night that we went out, we were able to either walk to or take a 2-second cab ride to where we needed to be.
Right. So yeah, I would say definitely take the first 2 days to explore, right? And then beyond that, I just want to also make a disclaimer. We happened to go during a major music festival that we didn't know about beforehand. We found out maybe like 2 or 3 days beforehand. So that kind of heightened our turn up a little bit. But what we heard was that there's always music festivals, there's always something going on. So if you want to plan your trip around, you know, look up events or something like that if you want to kind of have something outside of the norm going on. But we went into the city, the second day?
We went into the city a lot of days.
Yeah, well, we went into the city almost every day. But we were really looking for good, cheap food. I don't really like to spend a whole lot of money on food. I mean, unless I'm trying to go to a really, really nice spot. So in terms of food during the day, daytime. Okay, you want to go?
Yeah. Okay. So when you're in Havana, some things that you definitely don't want to miss is Old Havana. You get a lot of people, you get music, you get a lot of sense of the culture, people just sitting on the corners. You're able to just ask questions and just chill and be with the people. This is definitely more of our liking, so this is kind of what we enjoy doing, like the majority of our days, trying to get like the essence of Havana. Additionally, like if you're not in Old Havana, you can also go hang around Capitalio. Capitalio has a bunch of just bars and restaurants and scenes in that general area that you will definitely, you know, just keep walking around and you won't be hard pressed to find anything amusing or engaging. Some of the other things that I did, Lauren wasn't there for it, but and Lauren also engaged in some things that I didn't engage in either. Was on Sunday I went to an area called Cayo Hueso, and it was an opportunity for me to see like a religious ceremony of sorts, like kind of like Santeria / like Orisha, kind of their mix of, you know, Afro-Cuban, like Latin religious ceremonies on a Sunday. So there was just mad drums, there was a lot of just dancing and just a lot of spiritual amazingness in the air. So that's also another thing that we did. And Lauren's going to talk about heading to Playa de Santa Maria, which is a beach.
Right. So the beaches are amazing. Oh, somebody said like in Brazil.
Yes,
yeah. So
exactly.
like Candomblé, which is like in Salvador. So something similar to like, it's like a fusion of West African religion. Is it Catholicism?
It's not. I don't know what the
mixture
contemporary mixture is.
But if you're trying to get to the beach, there is an amazing beach. Maybe like a 30-minute. Like less than a 30-minute
20 minutes from downtown.
20-minute drive from downtown, right? And it's like a beautiful, beautiful beach. I don't know if you've been on my Instagram, but there's pictures from the beach, and it's called Playa de Santa Maria. You have to forgive me. I'm from the South. My Spanish accent don't really roll off like Dupe's. But the beach is like, you know, I didn't really have too many expectations about Cuba and how tropical it was, but the beaches are amazing. Like some of the best, like visually, like amazing. Like the water reminded me of like your favorite flavor of like Now and Later, or like a Jolly Rancher. I'm from Atlanta. But beaches were beautiful. Sand, the waves weren't too rough, and there are a lot of amazing beaches. and very clean. There are a lot of amazing beaches. And side note, Cuba is the size of Florida, guys. Roughly, right? So Havana is a very, very small part of the whole country. So there are beaches, of course, all around the island. And so I don't want you to think that, there's not a lot for you to venture out and do. And so
this one was just convenient. It's literally just 20 minutes. It's an amazing, almost resort-like beach that's 20 minutes.
Right.
And it's an amazing way for you to engage with habaneros and just like chill out on the beach and see what they do with their downtime.
Right. It didn't really seem too touristy. There is a touristy beach that everybody recommends that they say is gorgeous. We opted not to go there. I ain't really trying to see more people like me, But the beach was super cool. We stayed all day. There's always going to be tons of music, bands on the beach. Everybody smoking a cigar, and when I say everybody smoking a cigar, it's not like because it's hip. It's just because that's the way of life. So it's just like it's not nothing for everybody. Like an old lady be 95 puffing a cigar, or you may have a 21-year-old puffing a cigar. It's just regular life. So the beach, I would definitely say, do a beach day, maybe do one or two.
It's not too expensive to get there. It's only like essentially $5, and you can get a round trip bus from the downtown area, or you can try to get a cab to and from. But yeah, that's definitely one thing. Another thing that we did for day tripping was Viñales, and exploring the Cuban countryside, the agricultural influence. I'll let our farmer handle that.
Y'all know me. Well, if you do know me, I prefer like the wilderness, nature. Like the beach is cool, but I'm a down South Georgia girl, so we had to go to Viñales, right? And I wanted to go to the tobacco farms, and it's about a 2.5-hour drive. And so in terms of transportation, I would recommend, if it's a group of you guys, to just go in and just have like a driver. I think we
ended up paying like to and from, and basically for the escort, we ended up paying essentially like about $40 per person.
Right, and it was 3 of us.
Yeah.
So what is that, $120? But mind you, like this person's not just dropping you off and then they're gone. So it's almost like more of not necessarily a tour guide, but like they're with you and they're there to facilitate whatever it is that you want to experience while you're there. So it was a 2.5-hour drive. I would say wake up really early if you're going to do a day trip, because you can definitely stay over for a couple of days depending on what your itinerary is like. But I would say we did a day trip. So we left out like between 8 and 9, I believe, and then it was a 2.5-hour drive there. And we kind of started off. And the other thing is, like, I'm really random, right? So I'll stop on the side of the road and be like, okay, let's go holla, oh boy, and let's just hang out, and that's what we do. And so that's what I mean by like, there's not a lot of manufactured fun. Like it's not, like I said, like it's not Disney World, but like if you are extroverted, if you are, adventurous and just down to meet people, you'll have tons of fun. And so, so we got to Viñales, we went to tobacco farms and, learned about the whole process. We had somebody roll a cigar that made cigars. And, I've smoked cigars back in the States, but when we were there, like, they dipped it in honey. I know they do that here. They dip it in chocolate, but they had dipped it in honey, and that was kind of cool. And I'm down with the animals and, the whole farming experience.
You can explore caves. You can go horseback riding. You can get really dirty and grungy on the farm. There are horses, there are cows, everything. It's just tons and tons and acres of tobacco farms. So it's just kind of, it was kind of amazing. You hear about Cubans as an American, and you may attempt to smoke a Cuban when you were out of the country, as late or early as last year. But to actually see the production in front of you, to see the leaves drying in front of you, that was pretty dope and amazing to be out there and to just be free. We were literally running, hopping, skipping amongst the mountains, and it was amazing.
Also, like, the Cuban farmers aren't too shabby to look at either.
Trinidad is also an option. It's another city. It's a very colorful city, as well as Havana. It's about, I think, a 3.5 hour day trip outside of Havana. So that's another option. If you kind of want to see more of a city versus we wanted to see more of a kind of country landscape, then that's another option for day tripping.
Right. So like we said before, it's like, you know, depending on what your itinerary is, like if you have like 5 days there, I would say, you know, definitely spend a lot of time in the city of Havana. Maybe do 1 day trip and then do the beach day. But like, even for me, like we literally only scratched the surface, to be honest, because we were there 8 days, 8 or 9 days, and like I said, Cuba's like the size of Florida, you know what I mean? And it's like even though it is a Caribbean island, I would much more say it's a country, you know what I mean? And there's like, it's not like any other Caribbean island that you may have gone to. So I'm definitely going back because like I want to go all the way to the other side, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, so in terms of day trips, Trinidad, Vinales, close by for day trips, you can come back. What else?
That was kind of stuff to see during the day.
Right.
Our next topic to cover was food. We spent a solid 4 days. God bless Yessie. Yessie was our Airbnb host.
Yeah.
God bless her heart, because she just kept pointing us in the direction of these bland, dry, no salt having restaurants that we just
were expensive too. And I'm like,
we were just like, we were done. We were done taking her recommendations, and as a matter of fact, we took her up on eating at the house one night. And we're like, damn, Jessie, why don't you just cook?
She could cook, you know, like when you get good food, like the fish, like they are heavy on the salt, which I don't mind because I love me some salt. But food,
it's an option. So if you stay at like for instance Casa Particular, if you stay at an Airbnb, if you stay at any of those kind of places, you know, I'm sure that your host will give you the option of eating at the home at some point. That being said, we finally found our mecca of food, La Juliana.
So good.
$5 gets you basically a whole grilled chicken.
A whole chicken.
Like a huge pile of rice and beans that taste so good. Fresh plátanos, fried, ripe, yellow, juicy. Were there salads on it? There were onions. It just
so good.
You can do so many things. You could get the grilled chicken, you can get the fried chicken, you get the lamb, you can get whatever. But honestly, La Juliana, Julina, was probably one of our favorite places to eat. And it were very inexpensive. So we were eating like 3 times.
Off of that one plate. And I don't know about you, but that's my type of price, okay? If I can buy lunch and I can eat dinner and a little bit extra after that, cool. And that also kind of goes back to like, it pays to stay in an Airbnb or a home because you can reheat things up because you're staying in somebody's home versus a hotel. So yeah, La Juliana was by sure like one of our top,
we
favorite.
Kind of don't really remember.
Yeah, I mean the food. So like the ambiance, but the food,
you ain't even looking up from your plate.
You're
so
not.
Who cares about the ambiance?
Right.
I was just shoveling.
Because I don't really know how to block the trolls, guys. So that's why I'm not blocking them. But I'm not really like paying them any mind.
Sorry if the trolls are a distraction for you, but no, we're not.
I don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah.
Other places for food?
There are, forgive me on this pronunciation, I don't really know, paladeras, are basically restaurants that are inside of people's homes. There are there's a ton of information on the internet as to the best one. I think the Palader San Cristobal is one of the more famous ones. We didn't eat there, but a lot of people that we know have eaten there. Our host was eating there for dinner, so that is definitely one of those places that they say check out and possibly even make a reservation the second you land in Havana, because they're always booked.
Also, I just want to say, like, some people may be surprised, like, there are legit upscale restaurants in Havana, like, that make you feel like you're in Miami. You know, now if you want to experience that and you have the money to experience that, by all means go to those restaurants. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it gives you the real Havana feel. It more kind of feels
Or
like
taste.
a Cuban restaurant in a Miami or a Cuban restaurant in a LA, you know, type of scene. But it's definitely there and it's definitely available. So I don't know if you're going there for a honeymoon. It just depends. But there's something for all walks of life in terms of what your pay point is. Okay, that's just out of control. But yeah, so
I want to say something. I'm not gonna say
go ahead.
anything.
Also, like, you can definitely, like, there's things to eat off the street. My rule of thumb is I don't eat nothing off the street if it ain't fried hard, especially meat, right? Because you just don't know if that meat been sitting out there. If it ain't fried, I ain't eating it. But
Your mama.
if you hold down their comment, we're like, oh, okay, thanks. So the next time I do that, I'm gonna block them. So, but you know, like, corn off the street, cheese, you know, if your stomach, if you know you have a weak stomach, don't even do it. My stomach is pretty, like, cool because I didn't eat and stuff all over the world, you know, so I think all right, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna block you because I don't like that. Okay, I don't think it's working. Somebody said, oh no, that's not it. I don't know, I'm sorry, I tried, but anyway, so that would be my rule of thumb in terms of, like, eating off of the street. You know, I also take, like, they're like diarrhea pills. I don't ever get sick like that, but just in case, because I ain't trying to ruin my trip like that. What else?
So now we didn't see any signs for happy hour, but we definitely created our own happy hours for sure. Sorry,
We're trying to
block. Yeah,
we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. It's not
okay.
working.
Need to go to viewers to block them. I'm not quite sure we could do that in the middle of the chat,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Sorry. Again, like we said, we
It's
apologize
all
for the
good.
disturbances. But there wasn't necessarily any signs for happy hour, but there was definitely places where we just sat for about 2 hours, like a pre-dinner kind of setting, and just enjoyed ourselves. One in the Capitalio was called Siakara, Siakara Cafe, and it was just like a nice, like, it was just a nice, like, really funky, chill,
Right.
almost like
A lot
Brooklyn
of right,
vibe.
Right. It's a lot of, there are a lot of places that have, like, a lot of character, like, unique character. That I was just like, yo, like she said, I feel like I'm in Brooklyn, but it's like there's a lot of flair in Havana, like a lot of, like, and we noticed that from, like, guys and the way they dress. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that are censored here, but I'm like, where did you get your style? Because you look like the Weeknd, like with the Tim. I mean, they weren't Tims, but like boots like Tims, got the dress. I'm like,
Yeah.
you look like you don't
There
walk
was
out
a
of the
lot
magazine.
of flavor. There was a lot of flavor in Havana.
Yeah. We talked about our favorite spot to eat. It was La Juliana. The food was just amazing, very cheap, and the portions were huge. Typically, the portions are huge anyway, and depending on the time of day, like, you may or may not want to take things to go, and it also depends on if you are staying in an Airbnb, you more than likely will have somewhere to heat it up.
Yeah, but there was another place called El Chanchullero. That was another place where, you know, we just spent a couple hours just, like, drinking, talking, engaging with people. It at first glance, it looks a bit touristy, but it's actually, I mean, you get a great mix in there where you get habaneros learning or hoping to speak English. We encountered just a lot of great personalities in there, or hoping to practice speaking English, I should say, and vice versa. You know, you'll find Swedes and South Africans and Americans, everything.
Another thing is, like, you'll find a lot of foreigners that have been going to Cuba for years, you know, whereas a lot of Americans be like, oh, this is my first time. But people like, we met guys from, were they from
Greece?
Greece?
They were from Greece.
No, the older guys.
Oh, yeah,
from
France.
Yeah, from France or something like that. And they have been going for like the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is my second home.
Right. And so, and they love it. And they continue to go back like every day. I mean, not every day, every year. So like, Cuba's only a sensation to us, but it's a sensation for a good reason, because people are continuously go year after year and they love it. And it's just like, I think the isolation attributes to the, I don't know, not the coolness.
Yes, we highly do recommend. You can go to Cuba solo, and you can go to Cuba as a female.
Yeah, like
it's all for that solo travel.
In terms of safety, like, didn't feel unsafe at all. Like, in our neighborhood, the street lights are kind of work, not really work, but we never felt
unsafe
at all. Like, there have been tons of other countries where I felt, you know, kind of like iffy, but Cuba, not at all. Havana, not at all. Like, the people are amazingly nice. The only thing is, like, of course, if you don't speak no Spanish, they're gonna surcharge you a little bit, but that happens.
Get hoodwinked.
They will, you know. I mean, they hustle. You know, they hustling. So that's kind of the MO everywhere, right? I'm not Cuban. Black. But anyway.
So I think nighttime.
Yeah,
nighttime.
So, well, before we go to nighttime, like, I just want to stress how big like music is. Like, to the point to where we were out one time and there was a sign that had like, it was a trumpet and it had like no trumpet. Like, I've never seen signs that insinuates do not play instruments. That's how you know how big music is. Cause like, one place, like, I thought the music was so loud, I thought it was like a juke joint, like a little hole in the wall, but it's like legit just somebody's house and they got speakers and it's just like they just jamming. It's like,
you will find dueling speakers on one block. You will find 16 different speakers in the window. This song playing salsa.
So I'm like, get you a couple drinks, go out, be dancing, it's just a very live place, right? And if you are a very you know, depending on what your open personality, and it doesn't take, you don't really care for manufactured fun, you're gonna have an amazing time. I'm not saying that you need to get drunk, but I always drink a little bit, so that always enhances my fun, especially when I'm outside the country. And of course, like, mojitos are, you know, signature drinks. Mojitos, caipirinhas, well, rum in general, right? You want to go into nighttime?
So, yeah, we can start with nighttime. Nighttime, one of the biggest attractions in Havana, particularly because, you know, there's such a disparity between what travelers and foreigners can do as versus what Cubans are able to do. So the Malecon, the seawall that is supposed to protect the city from high waters, is an amazing spot at night. During the day, you can walk by it, you can see, you know, Havana from a little bit of a distance, but honestly, the Malecon at night, you have people drinking, they are smoking, they are
playing
dancing,
instruments.
They're playing instruments, they are being in love, and Cubans will go there because they're having a good time, but they're not spending any kind of off the wall crazy money.
So it's like, you could use it as you're gonna chill there all night and kick it, smoke, drink, hang out, or that could be the pregame before you go out. You know what I mean? So some people use it as a pregame, like, okay, let's meet at the Malecon, drink a couple drinks, hang out, and then we're gonna shoot to the club. Because the turn up really don't happen till like 12:30, like 1 o'clock. Yeah, and maybe even later than that. So the Malecon is like, you know, I guess in certain places where people go and see the sunset and hang out, and so it's kind of like one of those places. And so, like, I remember passing by, like, people playing trumpets, trombones, like, it's like real music. Not, I don't want to discredit other type of music, but like real instruments, like for real.
Yeah, live music is a thing.
I don't know about praising Castro, but yeah, smoking cigars for sure. Yeah. Lots of begging, not the same. No, not really. You know, I didn't really experience a lot of begging.
I didn't experience begging in Jamaica or Cuba. So
yeah, I didn't. Well, I have experienced a little bit in Jamaica, but like in Cuba, not at all. Not at all. No.
So the Malecon, like we said, the Malecon is an amazing place to go and to be amongst the locals and to just have fun and to see what nightlife is really about or where it begins. Another place that we went on Wednesday night was a place called Bertolt Brecht. It's basically at like midnight, 12:30. It's just a live jam sessions. There are horns, there are drums, there is reggaeton, there is jazz, there is soul, there is salsa. I mean, there's a pretty popular group in Havana called Interactivo. They pay, that is with a T, but yes, that is Bertolt Brecht. It is amazing. There was just so much. It was such a great vibe. By the end of our time, we had already seen Interactivo 3 times before we left Cuba. And we were singing songs.
We know their songs. Other thing about it, like, people can still smoke in clubs and in restaurants and all that kind of stuff. So that's just something just to think about. I mean, it didn't really bother me too much. You just kind of move so it doesn't bother you. But people can still smoke cigarettes and all of that. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, like that was the first night we were there. Yeah, like we up dancing, like, and everybody dances, like not that old 2-step dance, but like really like samba, salsa, like getting it. You be like, okay, somebody comes, and somebody did actually come and teach me how to dance. And if you're not dancing, people are looking at you like, what are you even doing here? Like, you need to dance. Like, so don't be embarrassed to get out there and interact and have yourself a good time. And side note, just, I mean, this is not a color thing, but if you are black, people are going to automatically assume that you're Cuban anyway, and they're going to probably start talking to you in Spanish because that's what they did to us. What else?
Let's see. And once you finish at Bertolt Brecht, the after party usually happens at Corner Cafe, where again the band's there, and it's just
and mostly everything is like live music. Like, I don't think we went anywhere with DJs. I mean, we did, but like, but it also had like, live everything music. Is live. Like, it's not really.
You can.
No. It's not black music only. I'm saying it's live music only. I don't even know who you are, but anyway.
That's okay. Anyways, so. Another night we spent, again, a lot of our nights were dictated by this music festival that we went to, Musica Havana. And so we went to a couple of nights, we went to a couple of spots twice. Another place that we went to that everybody must go to, however, we can't really tell you what the tone of it is when it's not a music festival, is La Fábrica de Arte. La Fábrica de Arte. Everyone calls it FAC, F-A-C.
It is amazing.
It's like a labyrinth.
Like the best art installation, showcase I've ever seen. And I've been to Art Basel in Hong Kong, which was dope too, but I don't know, it was just the music, it was the people, and like she said, it doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it's just Brooklyn, but it's just I didn't really have too many expectations, but I really wasn't expecting to go to anything cool and hip like that. I would legit this is a place I would be going to on a regular basis. This is a place I would want to be seen. There are definitely places like that in Havana. You be like, yo, this is lit. This is live. So that place for sure.
It was just 5 floors. There were indoor spaces. There were outdoor spaces. There were other places where you can actually just sit and talk. There were private rooms. Like I said, there were so many installations there. It was just really, really, really amazing.
Where else?
Let's see, and Bertolt Brecht, Interactivo, Malecon, Musica Havana.
Yeah.
Oh, Casa de la Música in Central.
Oh, I got it, y'all. I got it. You just got to tap them. How many days do you recommend to spend in Cuba to get a good experience? So I would say at least 5 days, guys. At least. And like I said, we were there for 8 days, and I would say we only scratched the surface, because like I said before, Cuba is like the size of Florida, like Cuba the country. Havana is, like, it's a city. It's just a blip, you know what I mean? So like, it's more so how many days do you need to go to experience Havana, you know what I mean? And that's essentially why we're going back, because we really just experienced Havana and like and Vinales. We just scratched the surface. So I would definitely say at least 5 days, because what I would say is, Cuba's, I didn't know it was that large either, but Cuba's huge. Like, look at it on the next time, go look at it on the map. You're gonna be like, dang, like, it's huge. But most definitely. But anyway, at least 5 days, because you want to do a beach day, right? You want to.
Oh, it deserves months upon months. Absolutely,
definitely. If you could do 2 weeks. Do 2 weeks.
Do it.
Like, that's why we're going back again. I'll probably go back a couple more times, just because I had such an amazing time, and also just because I feel like we just really just scratched the surface, and more so because I am a nature outdoorsy type, so I want to go like further out into the countryside, to experience that. But if you like, we know life is life, so 5 days. If you could do like a Thursday to Sunday. Like, one of the girls that was at our Airbnb, she only came down for like 2 days, like 2 nights. I would recommend that, because I feel like people just do that just to say that they've been somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
she, it was interesting because she said, oh, next time around, I would prefer to stay closer to everything that's happening, which we found was interesting, because it literally was popping anywhere you went.
Right, exactly.
So for it to be like, I personally didn't care to be where everyone spoke English, but
right. I mean, it just depends on what your comfort level is and how adventurous you are. And with that, like, a lot of these places, none of these places have Wi-Fi. Just let you know. So you're not going to be posting or anything like that. You're not going to do no Snapchat and no none of that. But what we covered before is, like, they do have these parks around the city where you have to buy like these
Nauta internet cards.
These internet cards, and they're like an hour's worth, and they're like $2 or $3. But other than that, you're just not connected, which forces you to be present, right? Okay, but yeah, so it forces you to be present because you're not on your phone and you can't really connect like that. But what else?
Did anyone have any other questions about
like what to do, where to go,
Havana, where to go? And we'll give you the answers that we can give you for best of our abilities.
Any questions about anything?
Actually, at this point we will take any questions about anything. Because this is the last.
Cover the how I'm going. Yes, we did we did go over the how.
So you can, if you want to cover the how, you can either go to can'tstayput.com, where the first of this session is up, or you can go to letsgoyesterday.com as well, where that is also, I also have it listed on my site, everything that you need to know in order to get to.
I didn't eat any Cuban lobster. Can you lie about the festival? So the festival was Music Cabana, right? And there was the very first one in Cuba, and they actually do this festival, like, it's like a mixture of art and music together, and they do this around the world. It's not the same name, but this particular production does this around the world, and it happened to be the first one that was taking place in Cuba, and it almost didn't happen. Because what we were told, because we actually met the producers of the festival, what we were told was earlier in the year, Diplo was there, and I think
and Major Lazer,
and they brought out over like 1 million people, and the government was like,
we actually planned our trip, and then a Cuban told me before we left.
Yeah, so we
already, by the way,
this is going on. So we kind of like, God just kind of looked out for us, because we weren't even planning to be, like, we were just going, and then we were like, oh crap, like, it's gonna be a festival there, like. But we were also told that there's always stuff going on.
Always a festival.
Always a festival. Always something going on.
We're looking for the big festival.
And people were like,
which one?
It's always festivals
there's always a big festival going on.
But yeah, it was definitely perfect timing. But in terms of like, it almost didn't happen because early in the year, Diplo and Major Lazer was there, and they brought out like almost 1 million people. And the government was like,
how, Sway?
How? Who are y'all? How are y'all organizing people like this? And we don't know if we want this to be taking place because, you know, there's a little fear there if you can bring out that many people and you can mobilize organization. You already know how that go.
You know where she's going.
Right. You already know where we're going. We don't need to take it there. But they did end up getting the green light. And interesting enough, like, you know, what foreigners will pay is not what they would charge people who are Cuban, because
Cubans will pay $1 for what you're paying $20.
Yeah, because, you know, like, their cost of living and how much they make is
that's a whole nother.
Yes, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I'm not even trying to get into that because I'm gonna get upset and yeah. But anyway, any other questions? Oh, somebody asked about currency. There's 2 types of currency now, CUCs
and the CUP. The CUCs is what foreigners use.
CUCs are what foreigners use, and there are places to do exchange. So as of right now, you cannot use your credit card. So you're gonna be SOL if you go there with no cash.
Don't show up with no
I don't know
money.
how it will be September or later on. Like we said, things are changing by the day, but even still, take cash.
If you are an American, your credit cards and your debit cards and your bank cards will not work. So please rest assured that you need to bring money and then some.
Right.
So the then some, if you want to buy a piece of art, if you want to never come back and plan your Cuban life, I mean, whatever it is, just make sure you plan accordingly. It depends on how many days you're staying.
Yeah, it depends on how many days you're staying. It depends on the type of traveler you are, right? So I don't typically buy a lot of souvenirs, but I knew that I was going to buy a whole bunch of cigars, right? And because of the way I travel, I'm not looking for the most comfortable or most pricey things. So I would say maybe like it just depends
what
you're
doing, because if you day trip, that you have to cover for that.
I would say if you're there for like 5 days, you probably won't spend all of this. Take like $700. You probably, and that probably includes like where you're staying too, possibly. But $500, $1,000, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll go home with money. I mean, it just depends because this is what we do is more so work. It's not like a vacation, so we're not going to like spend money on like a vacation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's your vacation, of course, like you've saved up for this, you want to have a good time, money's not an issue, then, you know, by all means, save up as much as you possibly can. But if you just really want to get a Cuban experience, you really don't need that much money. Like, you can find good food for maybe like $5 to $6. So what is that? If 6 times 3 is $18 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then if you want to take a cab into the city, if you want to take a cab into the city and back, it's about like another $5. So what is that? Like $24. If you want to have a couple drinks, it's like another $5, $30. So $35 a day. Like $35 to $50 a day to kind of like, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
The other thing I think that we were with, I think somebody asked about, we bought, I just learned this through you, is your grand slimmer too. Well, we're different, but you actually see we're
right. So me and Mo, this is our first like collaboration, I guess you could say. We'll be collaborating a lot more in the future. We got a whole lot of things planned. But we have our own voice, and I'm more so inspiration, and I use travel as a conduit to inspire, not just a travel piece. And Dupe, just all over the world, just travel and just beasting out here.
We appreciate it.
Right, exactly. We're different. Like, I feel like, there are a lot of different people in this space, and I feel like we all have our own unique voice and our own unique niche in terms of how we present what we do. But as you can see on both my Instagram and hers, like, visuals are like what we definitely have in common. The visuals got to be A1. We're very creative when it comes to that. But yeah, any other questions?
Oh, we did happen to buy cigars in Vinales as well as Havana. So we bought manufactured ones, which come in the box and have all kinds of seals on them. And we also bought like those real gritty,
like straight from the farm.
Like you take them home in the plastic bag cigars. Those are a little bit harder to keep up with, though. So be careful.
They do have a limit on how many cigars or the value of cigars that you can bring back. Now, of course, it just depends on if people are actually checking your bag, but at the same time, it's like you may not want to play around with it because you don't want to spend all your money and they end up taking them. But they say it's...
Yes, customs. You have to be careful because it also depends if you happen to, like, for instance, the American airline flights coming out of the United States are not going to Havana. So let's say you still want to make it a little bit more convenient for yourself and you want to go, yes, we did carry-ons.
And I checked back.
And she checked back.
I checked it back. I'll answer that other question too, but go ahead.
Coming back, Mexico was just like, how many cigars do you have? And I forget what number I told them, but they were just like, just as a future reference, we like that you can speak Spanish, but you need to know that you can only bring 25 cigars from Havana into Mexico if you are not Cuban. So you need to be mindful of that. So let's say the United States says you can bring 50 cigars in, which is again the number I was told. I don't really know if that's true, but I was told 50 cigars you can bring in and or a value of $300 or less. How do you prove that? I don't know.
Right.
But you have to be careful because if you're coming through Panama, if you're coming through, Mexico, if you're coming through the Bahamas, be careful because they might confiscate some of your stuff because they have different regulations than the United States.
Right. But like I know people who have brought back a ton because they just never got checked, right? But that's on you if you want to try it.
The guys were just like, oh, so how many did you bring? And I said 30. They're like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, 30. Well, we're not checking your bags, nor do we want to do the paperwork. So go on.
Right. So somebody asked about the photographer. So I work with a photographer. I actually had one of my photographers, she flew out, Dory. Her Instagram name is Dory like the fish.
Dory with an I.
Dory with the I. Yeah, me and Dory have been working together for almost 4 or 5 years. But I do work with professional photographers. Either I travel with one or I work with a photographer in that particular country. And if I don't have any of that, I have used bystanders. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize, even though I'm in the pictures, I am very much a creative director as well. So if it's a bystander, I probably get on their nerves because I'm like, okay, you gotta stand here, get this lighting, this angle, and they're like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, because it's that serious, you know what I mean? So just because so I just want to reiterate, just because I'm in most of my pictures doesn't mean I haven't directed the whole shebang, right? But also, like, Madupe is an amazing photographer, and she took a lot of the pictures there, and I wouldn't say I'm a good photographer, I just have a good eye, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say, like, I'm a master at the actual camera, but I know what I want, and I know what my idea is. Like, I can see a building, or I can see how the light is, and I'm like, oh, then the idea will pop in my head because this is a good visual to tell a certain story, to enhance whatever story that I'm trying to tell. So yeah, and thank you. Any other questions, guys? Like we said before, we are gonna come out with a comprehensive PDF. Yes, I have been to Puerto Rico, but we're gonna come out with a comprehensive PDF about Cuba. That's going to review the last 3 Periscopes,
sessions.
The last 3 sessions. We hope to have it out by August. It will be free.
That way you will just be able to download it to iBooks or wherever and just kind of like reference it and say, oh wait, La Culiana, we remember them talking about that.
Exactly. So just give us a little time because we want to make sure it's very comprehensive, very easy to read and navigate. And like I said, I'm like, if you're planning to go in the fall, that's definitely a good time to go in the fall because it won't be as hot. So yeah, look out for the PDF. And if you have any other questions, definitely feel free to shoot us an email. Go to my website, cansayput.com. You can shoot me an email at low@cansayput.com. And then
you can also send me a message. I'm at super duper sleepy on Instagram, or you can send me a message through letsgoyesterday.com.
I don't have any podcasts, but thank you. Oh yes, we don't learn how to block.
Yeah.
But I think I am gonna start a podcast, cause I'll be having some crazy experiences, and not just travel, just like lifestyle, inspiration experiences. And I'm about to be on Periscope. I actually have something I'm doing next week that you'll have to stay tuned for. But yeah, we're gonna sign off unless anybody has any more questions concerning Cuba. If you or anybody you know couldn't make it that's interested in going to Cuba, feel free to share that we are dropping a PDF by August. So if they missed out, they shouldn't feel too bad, because we're coming with the gun, like the heavy hitting stuff, in a couple weeks. So without further ado,
stay tuned, you guys. There will be more of these in the future.
Yes.
All right. Thanks you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. How we turn this thing off though?
Oh, here we go again.
Oh, swipe down.
Or drop it.
Oh, stop.